As if they don't have too much on their plate. The Kings of Combat Sports Podcast, John and Wade. They'll talk about the things they did that day. They'll analyze the work of Vince and Triple H. Review of SmackDown. 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 Review of SmackDown.
It's Review of SmackDown. I am John Pollock alongside Wai Ting, rocking a half coffee, half hot chocolate. Am I right?
No, you're not.
Oh, I'm dead wrong.
You see a little tag right here.
Oh, it's tea. It is tea.
It's green tea.
You had that hidden. Now it is time for our review of SmackDown from Tuesday night in Corpus Christi, Texas. And we started off with a recap of the Royal Rumble with various quotes from media outlets about the show. And it ended with a freeze frame on John Cena holding up his WWE title, and we cut to AJ Styles, who is with Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan inside of their office, and Shane and Bryan are raving about the title match. AJ wants a rematch, says the Elimination Chamber does not count. He wants a singles rematch, and from there, Shane announces all the participants for the Chamber match. It's going to be Cena, Styles, Baron Corbin, The Miz, Bray Wyatt, and Dean Ambrose with, first of all, were you surprised that they just announced the participants? I was thinking we were going to get qualifying matches all night, but maybe they didn't have an entire episode to dedicate to that because you only have two.
Exactly. I really wasn't surprised. I feel like with 2 weeks to go, you essentially just have to treat this like it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you pre-announced everything, so I wasn't surprised.
I feel it would also be if these six were, well, minus Cena and Styles, if these four were in qualifying matches, I mean, it really does enhance your B-side, so to speak, of these matches and who would be advancing or not.
I think these are the names that we had, assumed that would be in here, and I don't think there's really that much contention with anybody involved.
So Ambrose walks in. He brings up having unsettled business with AJ from their TLC match, and Shane makes a singles match between them for later tonight. John Cena then comes out. He says the champ is here, and that being the man is about admitting when you're wrong and apologizing. And he does so to AJ Styles. He says AJ is not just a guy from Atlanta. He's an elite level superstar who brings out the best in Cena, but he has no time to celebrate with the Elimination Chamber match coming up. I threw out this promo idea with Jimmy Corderas when we were doing our Royal Rumble recap. The idea, mine was more of Cena admitting that he was questioning himself because of all these losses to AJ that he had to try and get in his head last week. He didn't fully go to that extent, but still, it at least clarified the promo from last week, which I think everyone thought was pretty one-sided, especially given a Cena win on Sunday, that he at least acknowledged AJ here to try and take a step back from his promo last week to AJ.
Absolutely. And even, last week's promo aside, I feel like things like this are what every babyface should be doing. Putting over the opponent that you just beat, as a sign of respect. And it's just what a good person would do. So I thought it was a great babyface trait of John Cena's.
Cena was interrupted by Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton. And Bray says that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And Cena's going to be trapped like a rat in the Elimination Chamber with him. It's his destiny. And Orton says that if he makes it out alive with the title, he'll be waiting for him at WrestleMania, and the Wyatts will set the title free. They go to walk towards the ring, but then the lights go out. Luke Harper is in the ring, but he aligns with Cena as Bray and Orton exit the ring, and then Shane comes out to play Teddy Long, and we have a tag team match, which is going to begin next. Mm-hmm. So putting Luke Harper here in a featured babyface role alongside John Cena.
I liked Orton and Bray coming out together, with Bray almost acting like a mouthpiece for Randy Orton right now at the Royal Rumble winner. And, I think the two of them together play a very believable immediate threat to the champion.
So the tag match begins. Harper back suplexed Orton onto the announcer's desk. That got a big reaction. Bray was tagged in with Harper, and Harper was staring at him, but then backs up and tags out, not wanting to collide with Bray Wyatt. So the idea is he is still under some kind of control with Bray. And they go through the commercial break. They had the advantage on Cena. He took a draping DDT, blocked an RKO and hit the clothesline. And then Bray runs and stares at Harper as he reaches for the tag, strikes down Cena. Orton then knocks Harper off the apron, and Cena makes his comeback. Orton counters an AA and hits a backbreaker. And then Bray gets in the middle of Harper and Orton. As Harper then attacks Orton, Bray goes for Sister Abigail. It's reversed, and once again, Luke Harper teases the Sister Abigail, just like he did in the Royal Rumble match, but then lands a boot on Orton, and Bray recovers and hits the Sister Abigail to Harper. So that feels like a big spot they're building to, of Luke Harper finally hitting the Sister Abigail to Bray. And Orton then saves Bray from the attitude adjustment and hits Cena with the RKO, and Randy Orton pins John Cena to win the tag match.
Mm-hmm. I thought Harper was connecting well as a babyface here with this audience. They put him in a great spot. I mean, pairing him with John Cena, I think automatically puts you at a certain level. And they booked him relatively strong in this match up until the mind control stuff, which, I mean, I could suspend my disbelief that these guys can vanish and reappear in thin air. You're kind of like testing my limits when you have mind control all of a sudden involved in a match and Luke Harper retreating simply from a stare from Bray Wyatt. That's a bit on the edge of kind of what I could take.
You need to watch more Lucha Underground. This is nothing.
I guess so. But in the end, I wasn't too mad at it because it seemed to work with this crowd, and it made the match kind of fun.
Afterwards, James Ellsworth comes out in his new outfit with a backwards baseball cap and a gold chain.
Yeah, this is the outfit they bought when they went shopping.
It looks like he was auditioning for the live-action Simpsons movie. He looked like a Bart Simpson come to life here.
Okay. I would say more Mr. Burns.
Maybe a bit with that face.
Yeah.
The fans boo him. He introduces Carmella, who he calls My Boo, and they skip to the ring hand in hand as Carmella took on Delilah Dawson, who is a wrestler from Funaki's gym in Texas. Dawson used an inside cradle for a 2 count, landed a forearm, and then Carmella hit her with a knee to the gut. Dawson goes to run the ropes, and Ellsworth trips her from the floor, and Carmella just slams her face down and applies the code of silence for the win in 1:26.
Yeah, Ellsworth is cheating now pretty blatantly. Not like he's doing it via incompetence and that he's kind of like a Mr. Magoo, unaware that he's, fucking up. He's just blatantly cheating now. He's basically a straight up heel. And I do get a kick out of him, playing Carmella's cheerleader. I do find him entertaining, so I think he's perfectly deserving of a spot on this roster. He really stands out, and I find him entertaining.
The right spot. I mean, we watched this guy. It's like we watched this guy pretty much as a main event guy on SmackDown for a month.
Well, that had its time.
You're right, and they probably got the timing right. It was at a point when, it was December. You have a lot of time before the Rumble, and he was utilized. AJ was somewhat hurt at the time. And they got out at the right time.
They got out. They put him in a spot that is a benefit to Carmella, and I think it's actually a great idea. This Delilah Dawson girl didn't really do a whole lot, but for the short time she was there, I thought she left a pretty decent impression, better than most jobbers. So I'd like to see more of her.
Kalisto took on Dolph Ziggler for the 84th consecutive week. Ziggler's trunks now read Hollywood heel.
I feel like they've always said that.
Hollywood heel?
Maybe he not Hollywood heel, but he goes by the hashtag
Heel Ziggler?
Heel Ziggler.
Yeah, well, he's gone. He's taken the Hulk Hogan. Maybe that was his NWO shirt as a sign. He's now Hollywood heel.
Yeah, I feel like a change of look is in store for Ziggler.
Well, that's what I think this teased, which we'll get into. The match is very quick. They note that Ziggler just has Kalisto's number, so they're doing the Goldberg-Lesnar story.
Yeah, but
this is like the off-Broadway version.
Didn't Kalisto beat him like 3 weeks ago?
That's what led to the turn. But since the turn,
he had turned before that.
That's right. He then lost the following week.
Yeah,
right?
The storyline is very kind of sloppily put together. Unfortunately, I'll also say the lack of focus that Ziggler Ziggler and Cruz got in the Rumble, and how unceremoniously they were just kind of in and out, kind of hurt the momentum of this, pretty major storyline, I feel.
Yes, you can switch Ziggler all you want, but lack of emphasis, always a trait for one Ziggler. You're right. He had a nothing role in the Rumble.
No.
And he did that great interview on Talking Smack about the Rumble being, this big opportunity for him, this new attitude. And you're right. He was.
I mean, if it was Cruz taking him out, that's fine. But I feel like, wasn't it just something like Brock or something just tossing him out? Right?
I can't even tell you who eliminated who. So the match featured a springboard crossbody by Kalisto. Apollo's watching backstage. Ziggler stomped the shoulder. Kalisto then got pulled out of the corner and pie-faced by Ziggler as the ref is breaking him up, and then Ziggler landed a super kick to win the match in 2 minutes. So after the match, Ziggler goes after Kalisto's mask, and Apollo runs down, and Ziggler just exits through the crowd.
Yeah.
So this is teasing like almost, I was thinking like a hair versus mask match, which that's what it feels like they might be teasing here.
Interesting.
The fact he was going for the mask couldn't have just been accidental.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, it would be Dolph Ziggler cutting his hair off.
Yeah, I don't
see there being any benefit to taking the mask off of Kalisto.
Well,
so it would probably be Dolph without hair, which is an interesting thing. I mean,
but if they're going that way, that should have been made crystal clear on this show.
Well, we're basing off of assumptions right now, though.
Well, what do you expect these two to do at the pay-per-view? They're not in the chamber match.
It could be Cruz.
I guess so. Just the fact that they were putting such emphasis on the mask of Kalisto. You would think it has.
We'll see. I like the idea. I think it's better than nothing. I mean, that might be a Mania-worthy stipulation.
It should be. It's like a mask match is a big deal.
Yeah, but who knows if this guy will even get on the card. As far as this segment, I could have sworn to you we saw the exact same thing last week, didn't we? Wasn't there a Kalisto-Ziggler match that Ziggler won, and then
he continued to attack him, and Apollo runs down.
It was the same thing. There's no difference at all. So I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to redo it to refresh us.
Ziggler was eliminated by Brock Lesnar, folks, after 4 minutes and 21 seconds.
What about Cruz?
Cruz was eliminated by Luke Harper after 5 minutes and 46 seconds.
Whatever.
Dasha is backstage with Becky Lynch and Naomi, and she says that she has been attacked from all angles. Becky said this, and now she's been attacked from the past with Mickie James, which isn't really an angle, is it?
Attacked from the past.
She's now been attacked from the past. She's like, I've been attacked from behind, from the side, and now from the past. And her and Naomi have mutual targets now. Naomi says that Bliss disrespected her last week and called her a nobody, but then she pinned Bliss at the Rumble and calls her a troll, and they call themselves Glow Fire.
Glow Fire. I thought Naomi did really well here. I feel like she seems to be somebody who, like I know how difficult it is, if you're not really a loud personality, to be forced to cut a professional wrestling promo to kind of fit in that mold. And she seems to come across as somebody like that, who really has to work hard to be able to get her personality out there. And I feel like she really did that here. I saw some very noticeable improvement from previous weeks. So I'm kind of proud of her. I mean, she's not Ric Flair, but there's definitely noticeable improvement.
So the tag match was Alexa Bliss and Mickie James against Becky Lynch and Naomi, with Morrow noting that Mickie debuted in this building in 2005 for the WWE. Naomi missed this crossbody and then leaps into the ropes as she's doing that. The heels got the advantage. David Otunga notes how people don't realize how tight the ropes are. It's like running into steel, he says, which how could this not have been just a subtle shot at Evolve?
Oh.
How tight those ropes are.
I doubt David Otunga has even heard.
Well, he heard about
Evolve.
it on Review of Raw, clearly,
okay.
about what happened on Friday.
Yeah.
Alexa did this spot where she does this all the time, where she drops her knees onto the opponent and then goes into a moonsault.
For the insult to injury.
Yeah. This is it's
a bit of an awkward move.
This is literally hit and miss, and there was no hit in this.
I think what made it even more awkward was that I think Naomi was supposed to get her knees up, and she probably did, but the point of contact was just really loose. So Alexa ended up selling for a move that she did herself, and it didn't really come across to anybody watching.
Yes, that was the one notable miss. Then there was a hot tag to Becky, who was in with Becky, hit the Beck-sploder. Mickey flips Becky off the top, and then Mickey goes for this big boot that I swear missed by a mile. This thing was way off. James then hit a Hurricane Rana to Becky out of the corner. Becky then kicked Bliss off the ropes, but didn't have much room to do so. Makes the tag to Naomi, who just fires up, knocking Mickey off the apron, and a head scissors sends Bliss into the mat for a 2 count. Becky tackles Mickey down to the floor, allowing Naomi to drop Bliss with a kick and hit the split-legged moonsault and once again pin Alexa Bliss as the crowd was into the finish. I would say from the hot tag to Naomi onward, but this match certainly had its bumps along the way.
It did, but what I take away from it was the crowd's reaction to Naomi, who's their next challenger. And this crowd reacted really well for Naomi. And a lot of the frequency of the crowd was, you could tell, was a lot of young girls. And, I'm sure that's the target audience. And you can, for whatever reason, it shows that what they've been doing has been working, whether it be the entrance or, I thought she had a good promo leading up to this. So, and her hot tag was good. It was good. So I was really impressed with the reaction. I was impressed with Naomi here. I thought it was a very good night for her.
And I'll say Corpus Christi always has the rep of being one of the more dead crowds. I thought they were lively on this show.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't sound like any other. It didn't sound different from any other typical television crowd.
Solid, simple booking here. Having a Naomi pin the champion in a tag match works.
Dasha interviewed American Alpha as we were reintroduced to our tag champions. They've been holding the titles for a month, and no one has stepped up, they said, and asks if people are scared. And Chad Gable then covers his eyes and waves the title around as Jason Jordan avoids being hit with the title belt. They state they will go issue an open challenge in the ring, with Gable acting all cocky and walks off, and Jordan tells Dasha to wish them luck. I got the sense of like a pending turn here for American Alpha.
Why?
I just felt they were going overboard. Either this was really unfunny, or they were trying to make Gable sound really cocky.
No, they're just looking for their voice, and they still haven't found it yet.
Well,
I don't.
Let's all start a GoFundMe and get them a flashlight, because they have not found it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a turn coming. I think it's just these two are still trying to find their personalities. And, when you're the champions being...
JBL has set these two back. They are probably just... they're lost now.
Yeah, I guess. But if anything, I feel JBL helped. I mean, I feel like it was time to get rid of...
This was goofier than the Ready, Willing, and Gable stuff ever was.
Which they've completely dropped.
It's gone.
At the request of JBL. And,
which came up on Talking Smack.
Oh, I actually missed Talking Smack.
Okay.
So. But how did they do on... we'll talk about Talking Smack.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So American Alpha is out for the challenge, and first it's the Usos who answer it, but then they're followed by the Ascension, the Vaudevillains, Fandango and Tyler Breeze, and Heath Slater and Rhino, and everyone starts brawling. We go to a commercial, come back, they're still brawling, and it comes down to American Alpha in the ring with Rhino and Slater after they've cleared the ring of the other teams, and this is going to result in a tag team turmoil match at Elimination Chamber, so you'll get a ton of quick tag matches probably.
Tag team. So what is that, like one team in at a time?
It's a gauntlet match.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's kind of...
I would have been happy with just Alpha and the Usos. That's the match you want, and
Me too. They really haven't done all that much with the Usos.
You have 4 comedy teams here outside of American Alpha and the Usos.
Yeah, to me, at the end of this, you're not giving focus to anybody. So really, at the end of it, no one's really going to get over. But it just seems like next month they probably don't have, or 2 weeks from now, they don't have enough time to build serious challengers. Let's just basically do a SmackDown match on this pay-per-view.
They recap the Nikki and Natalya brawl from last week, and Daniel Bryan's on the phone in his office with Brie. And he brings in Natalya and says he has a solution for all of this. And Natalya is being escorted by security because she doesn't feel safe at work any longer because of Nikki Bella. So Nikki walks in, and security didn't even seem to have any concern. They argue, and Bryan just screams for them to shut up and announces they will have a match at Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, and they're surprised. Natty's surprised, at least.
They're stunned that this is going to result in a wrestling match. No stipulation, no cage match, nothing, just a match. So that's it. That's Elimination Chamber. And so that means we've got the Elimination Chamber match. We've got Nikki against Natalya, the Tag Team Turmoil match, and Alexa Bliss against Naomi. On top of that, probably something with Ziggler, Kalisto, Apollo, some form of that. How are they filling 3 hours and a kickoff? Like, what else is there to put on this?
The Chamber will take a while.
The Chamber will take a long time, but it's not going to take 2 hours.
It won't take 2 hours, but the rest of the card should. Don't you think?
I'm saying, what is the rest of the card? Like, this is pretty much everyone.
Well, I mean, how many matches was
your IC title is in the Chamber?
Matches.
4.
4 matches. Okay. Who else?
I guess the 5th is Ziggler and Kalisto. Yeah, which you figure.
Okay, that's typical, right?
But 5 matches for...
Yeah. And maybe, what else could they do? Orton has something.
You're right. You're right. Orton and I totally forgot about Orton. Orton and Harper should be a match on there. Yeah. You're right. That's like your number 2 match. That makes sense. Neville did a promo for 205 Live. Nothing really of note. Respect the king. And then they announced next week on TV, John Cena against Randy Orton in Seattle.
Cool.
That's your WrestleMania main event today.
It would be, yes, if WrestleMania was.
This is your champion and Rumble winner next week. Does this tip anything off, Way?
What? You're expecting a...
I'm saying if they're giving away their proposed WrestleMania main event on TV next week,
right? Yes.
Would that lead you to believe that this will not be the WrestleMania main event?
We don't know. Maybe they're just practicing.
Oh, Randy Orton had the greatest line ever on Talking Smack about this.
Okay.
Main event, Dean Ambrose against AJ Styles, non-title match. I'm only stating that because I guarantee half of the people listening, including in this room, that being me, wouldn't even know Ambrose is the IC champion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's not defending it.
What an irrelevant title it feels at the moment. Like, there's no program for it. The Miz and Maurice are on commentary. More on that later. Ambrose used a Texas cloverleaf early. They fought on the floor. Styles is wearing him down. Then Baron Corbin comes down to the ring as they go to break. And then we came back with the shot of all shots. Everyone was posting this photo after. Everybody. We've got a shot of the SmackDown announcer's desk with Mauro Ranallo, JBL, David Otunga, Tom Phillips, The Miz, Maurice, and Baron Corbin. 7 people at the desk. This was beyond comical.
Mauro made this his profile picture.
Yes, it was shortly thereafter replaced, but this for a couple of hours was Mauro Ranallo's Twitter profile pic.
Oh my God.
7 people. Like, this has to just be an inside joke.
Oh, it's got to be a new record.
I've never seen 7 people at a WWE announcer's desk. I don't think I've seen 7 people outside of a big CNN panel from a debate. This many people at a desk.
I couldn't believe that they had that many mics.
Yeah, available. I guess Maurice wasn't technically on a headset, but you had 6 people, and they were all talking. This was insanity. Just insanity. It would feel weird now to just see 2 people at that desk. Mm-hmm. Corbin and Miz, I did enjoy their arguing throughout this. I thought Corbin came off well here on commentary.
You know what? Corbin really held his own, and again, like, for somebody relatively new to the main roster, his confidence is really impressive. He was able to...
This was the most talking smack Baron we got on SmackDown, I felt.
Yeah, and I think the commentary role provides that kind of loose improvisational, ability. And Miz here just talked over everybody. And I found him, for the most part, pretty entertaining, but at some point he was just obnoxious, which, I guess is a success for him. But Corbin really held his own.
If there's one complaint I had, it was brought up by Daniel Bryan on Talking Smack, the fact that he eliminated Braun Strowman, but that was not brought up at all here. And I thought that was a huge elimination. Mm-hmm. And Baron should have been a major focus.
Absolutely.
During this commentary, or even by the announcers at other parts in the show. Yep. Like, the monster Baron Corbin proved he's the real monster. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
There was an Ushigoroshi to Ambrose. They went into all these great near falls. There was an elbow drop to the floor by Ambrose. Then Miz and Baron start fighting on the floor as the referee is distracted by them, and Ambrose has the cover, gets up, hits Corbin with a dive, then sent Miz into the barricade, and as Ambrose returns to the ring, walks into a Styles clash, and AJ gets the win. I thought a really good match, and it was tough because there was a lot going on with
the commentary.
Between the commentators and the guys in the ring, you've got your attention on 9 people.
Yeah. But a very good match if you were able to watch it on mute. And I think AJ is just having a hell of a run right now.
Dude, like we talked about Chris Jericho being like the Raw MVP from the Rumble and Raw. AJ was clearly the SmackDown version, coming back and having a match like this on TV 2 days later. This was great. I thought
it seems effortless for him.
And clearly AJ now gets an IC title shot, right? Beat the champion.
I don't think he wants one.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Miz then came in. He hit a skull-crushing finale to Ambrose. And then Corbin came in and he hit the end of days to Miz and then to Ambrose to end the show as AJ is watching from the ramp smiling.
Good promo for the Chamber match. I thought an excellent SmackDown all around. Sometimes they just do really good jobs when you only have 2 weeks to go. You know, it moves a lot faster. We already have a card in place. And
so the opposite side of that way is what's going to happen when
Raw?
I'm saying when they're done Elimination Chamber and they've got a month and a half until WrestleMania.
Oh, we shall see. We shall see. But sometimes having only 4 hours to build up to the pay-per-view is really not a handicap at all. So, and I think in this episode they did really well. All the booking was very simple and logical. Stories are well told and easy to follow.
Yeah, I thought pretty fast-paced show. A lot of time for the main event, which was a very good main event. You advanced a lot for Elimination Chamber. I thought by the end of this show, I was surprised that we didn't get more matches announced, but then they used Talking Smack to announce the women's title match, the tag title match. And so we at least have 4 matches announced now. And yeah, I'd presume Orton and Harper.
Harper's not in the chamber, right?
No, he's not. So I'll quickly go through a Talking Smack here. Renee was also wearing the Fleur de Lis. So all the Canadians, well, at least Renee, Sami Zayn, and Owens all were wearing this throughout the television this week. Daniel Bryan was back, and he said when asked about his absence that the man was suppressing his opinions. But now he's back on the show, and Renee was just so happy to have Bryan back. This 1 week after she wanted to throw out a poll about Shane being the permanent replacement. So she really switched her allegiance here. This was a much better show with Daniel Bryan back. All due respect to Shane McMahon, I'm not going to say he was awful at this, but Bryan is much better in this role. Yeah. Bryan brings up how Ric Flair had all of these short title reigns, whereas John Cena doesn't. John Cena has long title reigns, which maybe a soundbite to go back to in a couple of weeks. We will see. And Bryan says how Cena and AJ stole the show at the Rumble, but Bryan says he was disappointed in the utilization of SmackDown. He said, we only had 1 match on the main Royal Rumble show, and it was the title match, and we only had 11 guys in the Royal Rumble, which I didn't realize either. I mean, they did some awful negotiating here for their talent. 11 SmackDown guys.
Yeah, but I mean, they only got a third of... Didn't they? Yeah, they only got a third of the draft picks.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
two-thirds, sorry. They had 2/3 of the draft. Oh, wait, no, sorry.
Other way.
You're right. Yeah.
American Alpha are on first. They are disappointed that their titles were not defended at the Rumble. And this is where we get the announcement of the Tag Turmoil match. They're very happy for this. And American Alpha wants to start the match. And that was the whole interview. Bryan then raved about...
That was it?
That was it. It was about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Not much. This was when American Alpha was stating, yeah, we haven't been interviewed by you in a while, Bryan. The last time we were on, JBL was here. He's like, oh yeah, did JBL ask good questions? So Bryan did not watch. When he is not doing this show, he is definitely not watching. Bryan then raved about Baron Corbin at the Rumble and eliminating Strowman, and he picks Baron Corbin to win the Elimination Chamber. Then Naomi was on next, and she puts over her wins over Alexa Bliss, and that's when Bryan gives her the title match. Naomi is so excited because this is her first step to winning the title and then going to her hometown in Orlando and defending the title at WrestleMania. And says if she does, she will dance all night long in Orlando.
That's great motivation for a character. I don't think she'll win, though. How did she sound?
She was good here. I mean, it was, she's not super polished yet, but she's got so much just energy about her, and that she's like a baby face you want to get behind. I thought this was a good. If you like the promo, I think you would have liked this spot even more.
I really enjoy watching the development of the girls on SmackDown because a lot of them are so new that not necessarily Naomi, but a lot of them are really they're doing a great job with almost all of them. Look at Carmella and look at where Alexa has become, where they've gone, since they've debuted. So, Naomi seems to be their next big project, and I'm curious to know how she develops.
Randy Orton is the final guest and says it never gets old when you go out there and winning the Rumble and all of the adrenaline. And then he says, you know how it is, Dan, how they've tore it up out there. I always love this about Orton. He always refers to Bryan as Dan. Dan Bryan. Orton mentioned his wife was in the front row at the Rumble and then says about the Cena match at WrestleMania.
Wait a second. Isn't he mind controlled?
Randy?
Yeah. Is he not mind controlled?
He's supposed to be.
But he still goes home to his wife every night?
Yeah. Well, with Bray's permission, I assume.
I don't know where this mind control stuff fits in with the guy's real life.
Well,
does the mind control turn off?
We talk about how Bray, they go to all these efforts on Talking Smack to preserve that character. There was none of that for Randy Orton. Oh. This was Randall Keith Orton. Then he's asked about the Cena match at WrestleMania and the long history, and Orton's line is, whether the fans know it or not, they want to see that match again.
I love that.
I loved it. It was great. Yeah, he said that Luke Harper doesn't belong in the Wyatt family. And Brian brings up the last time WrestleMania was in Orlando was in 2008 when Randy Orton faced John Cena and Triple H. And Orton's like, yep, Cena, And he guesses he's been in 12 WrestleManias. He has confidence now. He says, next week I will take John Cena's pride, and then at WrestleMania I will take his title, and he should run. And Orton gets up and says, thanks for the interview, guys. Goodbye. And that was all from Randall. So
good or what?
It was fine. I mean, this episode of Talking Smack, the interviews were very short. It was 20 minutes. It was fine. They announced 2 matches that they added to Elimination Chamber. Yeah, Talking Smack, it's kind of, you have your highs of the show, certainly, and it's kind of in a groove right now where it's never a hassle for me to watch this show. It's short. I'm usually interested to watch it, but I mean, nothing earth shattering on this Talking Smack. And it ended with a great line. Renee, throughout the show, Talking Smack was brought to you by the new WWE Champions app game. So she ends it by plugging that Talking Smack has been brought to you by WWE Champions. And Daniel Bryan says, yes, and I am brought to you by Tout. And that's how we ended the show. Daniel Bryan is so awesome on this show. I heard that line. I had missed this guy on talk. He's so great. I am brought to you by Tout.
He doesn't give a shit. He just doesn't give a shit.
Fuck. We will laugh about it. I think it's been enough time we can laugh about Tout now.
Oh, of course. We were laughing back then.
Oh, what was it, 15 seconds? Those video messages?
I don't remember.
God. 205 Live.
Even Vine is dead now.
It's gone.
Vine didn't even last.
It's done, yes. 205 Live. Did you see this show?
Yes, I did.
All right. Well, 205 Live's been on since November, and this is the first time I realized just how you've got to get the main event guys out of the ring, switch the ropes, change the set in like 3 minutes. Like you have the pyro that goes off, and you can see the ring crew working on the ropes and everything, and then you cut to Morrow, Corey, and Austin to do the opening. Like this crew is like, they've got just a couple minutes here before the first 205 Live match.
They're that good.
They're very good. And they get no credit.
Why the need to rush though? To do that? Because can't they just like tape delay the broadcast?
Not 205 Live. SmackDown's live.
Oh shit, you're right. Never mind.
Yeah.
I watch it always. I usually watch it after.
Yeah, they go just from one to the other. This is the latest reason of why this show should probably be taped before SmackDown. Probably be a lot easier.
Maybe.
So we kick things off. Graves says we are now under the tyranny of Neville, and Swan is not cleared to compete tonight, so Jack Gallagher will take his spot in our main event tag, teaming with Cedric Alexander against Neville and Noam Dar.
We should talk about the Rich Swann injury right now.
Yeah, they showed this where he threw a kick to Neville and is now in a walking boot.
Yeah, he threw a kick in the segment on Monday.
Which was not like an injury angle on Raw. So this looks legitimate.
I thought the injury came when he did that tope and got his foot caught in the rope.
It may have been.
But he definitely hurt his ankle. He was wearing a boot, and I wonder how long he'll be out.
Yeah, they kind of
bad timing for him.
Yeah, and apparently Seth Rollins also suffered an injury in the closing moments with Joe. He suffered a knee injury to the same knee he messed up and had to miss all that time with. So he was showing on crutches leaving.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and Dave Meltzer has since added it's a legit injury, and he'll get an evaluation later this week to see how bad it is.
Do you know at what point?
I don't know. I haven't gone back and rewatched the segment, but it looks like it might have just been weird issue where the knee buckled on something.
Damn.
And yeah, he's obviously figured into tons of plans right now.
Yeah.
So
right before Mania is the worst time to get
hit. Awful. Yeah, especially with given his missing the show last year. So we'll probably get an update later this week of how significant the injury is, but he was on crutches on Monday. Tony Nese weighs Wrestler of the Year for 2017 so far.
My personality of the year.
Yes. Versus Lince Dorado. Match started off with a top rope crossbody by Dorado, and then he did this tornillo off the top into a head scissors, sending Nese into the mat. Nese then stopped him on the top, kicked him onto the shoulders, and hit the gutbuster, and then went for and applied the body scissors. The most devastating wear-down hold in today's professional wrestling. Dorado got out, hit a handspring into a stunner for a 2 count. Nese then was seated on the top and took a drop kick, as Moro said that Cesaro and Kazuchika Okada would be proud of that drop kick. Now, Graves says, "You've been saying a lot of weird words tonight," because off the top, Moro had said Puroresu when describing Akira Tozawa coming to SmackDown, to 205 Live. That was the Graves line. If you listen to this closely, he cuts off Aries, who after Moro said Okada, Aries goes, "Bless you."
Yeah.
Aries has some clever lines that are just thinly offensive to some. Nonetheless.
Yeah.
We move on here. Dorado got shoved off the top after Nese was grabbing at his mask. So maybe him and Dolph Ziggler are...
Oh, you think you have another hair match in the works here?
We could be.
For WrestleMania.
Oh, Tony Nese against Lince Dorado and Dolph against... Maybe we'll get a tag. A tag. And
half head shave.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, you got to walk around with like an awful haircut.
That would be worse than getting your head completely
shaved. It'd be way worse. Like, who cares if you're bald?
Yeah.
People don't even look weird. But if you have half your hair, everyone will stare at you.
That is an embarrassment.
Yeah. So Tony Nese hits his running knee into the corner, which has now been named the running Nese.
That's what Aries calls it.
Well,
Moro was calling it the knees to Nese, and I'm sure at some point they'll have a referendum to decide.
Yeah, because he's not really delivering his knees to Nese. He is Nese delivering the knees.
Running
knees
Nese.
from Nese.
Knees from Nese.
Nice knee. Niece's nice knees. 606. Tony won.
Yeah. I think Lince Dorado is just awesome. He's just awesome to watch in the ring. He's got just this beautiful, floaty, high-flying style that if there was no such thing as a 205 Live, I think he'd work great on the main roster as another luchador. His big question, and I'm sure the reason why he's not really getting a push, is probably his inability to speak. Or his inability to cut a promo, more accurately. And... it's unfortunate because I feel like he's, him and Kalisto are guys that you don't necessarily need to cut promos with. What's wrong with having mouthpieces for a luchador? What's wrong with having a guy just come out and be a great high flyer? So, Lince Dorado at this point right now, he's just kind of pretty much a jobber in the cruiserweight division. Good match. Good showcase for Dorado. I mean, the Nese push seems to continue, which begs the question... What the fuck was up with that Austin Aries interview last night? No follow-up on the no charisma Tony Nese thing.
It's like two different shows. They're playing different characters on 205 Live and Raw.
I really don't know. I really suspect that maybe it's a rib, on these 205 Live guys to have Aries out there ask some live questions off the cuff to see how these guys will react, because it played no part to any storyline here. I mean, the Tozawa Aries interview at the end of the Tozawa match seemed to be completely counterproductive. So
it seems like it's more to like put Aries in this role as like,
but he's not feuding with these guys. He's not going to feud with these.
No, it's almost as though it's like they're having their own fun making fun of like journalists. That's what it feels like with Aries.
But the most troubling part is that it is completely detrimental to the aim of what they are spending their TV time on, getting guys like a Tony Nese over.
Who are having a hard enough time without all this bullshit.
And just like burying them, at the end of the segment to completely undo everything that you've done. I really don't get it.
Yeah. Nese is hardly like this comedy character. He's being pushed seriously. He's beating all these guys. So afterwards, Nese attacked Dorado on the floor and just killed him with this German suplex into the corner turnbuckle that looked frightening. And then Perkins ran down to save and hit Nese with a detonation kick. They recapped Swan and Neville on Raw, and this is where Phillips interviews Swan with his crutches and walking boot on. He says he injured the ankle from kicking Neville, and when the boot comes off, he'll get his rematch. Neville walks in and tells him to learn his place and that he attacked him like a peasant on Raw and should stay down. Swan says, "I'll never be kept down," and Neville says, "I'll beg to differ," and shoves him down.
Shoved him down, yeah.
That asshole Neville.
I know. He knocked the man off of crutches.
Now that Akira Tozawa has come, it has freed up the editor assigned to 205 Live Coming Soon features, and now Grand Metalik has inherited Akira Tozawa's Coming Soon spots.
Right. He's taken up the editing.
Grand Metalik, who was on the stage for the first episode of 205 Live, he's just gotten lost.
Well, I mean, with a lot of these guys, you want to take your time to give them their proper spotlight.
It's a sound argument. You don't want to overwhelm with all these names because you can't feature them every week.
Yeah.
Does he show up on 205 Live before Emma?
Yes.
We didn't get an Emma spot on Raw this week. Didn't have time for it.
We may never again. Who knows?
We may never see that one.
But like Grand Metalik is another big question. I don't know how they're going to be able to push him. I don't know how that guy's going to be able to. I mean, he's great in ring, but they have.
He might be one of the best they have on the roster. Yeah, if there's one guy that's going to get over with his style, which I mean, if he can utilize his style.
But they really have not shown a great track record of being able to push guys simply based off of in-ring ability.
So Akira Tozawa made his debut against Aaron Solo, a Lance Storm graduate and boyfriend of Bayley.
Oh,
which they did not bring
that's
up
this
here.
Guy. Okay.
Yep, he was an alternate for the Cruiserweight Classic.
Really?
So Brian Kendrick is on commentary. Looks to be Tozawa's first program. He knows Tozawa and mentions his own 30 tours of Japan.
He's just Tozawa now.
Oh, did they not even call him Akira?
No.
Oh, well, there we go. We lost. God rest Akira. Mm-hmm. There are chops from Tozawa. Solo covers up and then takes a slap. Tozawa hit a Hurricane Rana. A flying forearm sent Solo off the apron, and then Tozawa landed a suicide dive. And back in the ring, he ducked a clothesline and hit a snap German suplex and pinned Solo in 3 minutes.
Will you just call me Ting from now on?
Ting. Yeah. Pollock and Ting.
Thanks, Pollock.
Imagine calling a match. Ting! This is Ting! Ting's coming to the front. Congratulations, Ting. It just sounds rude.
It sounds pretty good to me.
Ting! You are now Tozawa. I don't know why they have such a hang-up on eliminating first names.
Tajiri.
It did work for Rusev. I will say Rusev.
Right.
I guess Cesaro's fine since he lost Antonio.
Any foreign last name? Foreigners don't have first names, is what we've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wait the first. Shin Suck. You are not. You're Lee. Lee.
Oh, that's great.
The Kinshasa. It's the Lee knee. The evil knee from Lee.
Oh, God, I can't wait. Can't wait for that. Tozawa is a guy who I think has enough physical charisma to be able to get over, possibly, without speaking English. And, he does, like, a lot of things like that tribal chanting that I think we'll be able to connect with the crowd. Plus, all his other big spots are very flashy. He's got some very flashy kicks, which seem to work. And that snap German got like an immediate reaction as a finisher. So, it was an impressive debut for him. Let's see how this works.
Ben Aries interviewed him after. Fuck. Take everything Wai just said, and then this was the opposite. Aries says, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you speak English?" And Tozawa responded in Japanese, and Aries said, "I completely agree. I couldn't have said it any better." Ha, here's our crazy foreigner. He doesn't understand how we communicate here.
Yeah.
Oh, this was like something right out of fucking 1985.
Rush Hour, actually.
Yeah, okay, 2001.
But except that was actually funny. I mean,
This isn't funny to me. It's not funny and it's not entertaining.
Whatever.
It's just like...
Listen, he's a heel. I just don't understand what's to come out of this. Because it seems like Aries is just basically doing this with everybody. And that doesn't lead me to feel like they're trying to work any program here between Aries and Tozawa. That'd be one thing. But it just seems like now it's designed to kind of, shake these cruiserweights up. And at the end of this, you had Tozawa, who had a pretty impressive debut. In the end, he is just another joke. He's just a comedy guy. This guy doesn't speak English. It's completely detrimental.
Maybe he'll be taken out for a shopping spree.
Yeah.
That'll be next as we get a remake of Taka Michinoku and Sunny.
Oh, I thought you were referring to Carmella.
Well, I was for the shopping spree, but I believe Sunny did that too with Taka. Brian Kendrick said after that Aaron Solo is no Brian Kendrick. So I figure that will be a future match.
Yeah, it's a good program. First program for him. I mean, he was supposed to face Tajiri, but Tajiri got injured. So, I mean, Kendrick can do all the talking.
And Tajiri is working on his English, he says.
Right.
So there, maybe he'll be a mentor to Tozawa. Neville's in the locker room with Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. Neville says he doesn't need Rich Swann to be hurt to guarantee victory, and he didn't ask to team with Dar tonight. He tells Dar, keep your mouth shut and your nose clean, and don't screw this up. And I don't care about your love life. Leave your baggage at home. Mm-hmm. And Alicia took great offense to being referred to as baggage.
Yeah.
I love Neville. I think he's just
Neville's great.
I
like Dar, too. I think he's one of the few solid personalities.
The time is ticking on this guy to be a babyface. I just feel the crowd is going to gravitate to this guy. And this match kind of sent you in that direction. These two teams had a very good tag match. It was Neville and Dar against Gallagher and Cedric Alexander. No one shook hands at the start. Gallagher used a side headlock takeover to Dar off the turnbuckle. Very little was made of Gallagher being in the Rumble as well.
True.
I mean, I thought
there were highlights, I guess, but yeah, not that big of a deal.
The coming back from break, I had to fast forward through those. My mind literally would have been blown. Oh God, I never want to hear that song again. There was a missile drop kick by Neville to Gallagher. Dar and Neville start working the left arm of Gallagher to get the heat on him. Gallagher hit this desperation headbutt and then collapsed on top of Dar, with Neville making the save for the cover. Dar then crawls to Neville and he wants to tag out, but Neville just jumps off the apron and leaves Dar for dead. He says Dar lost his chance. You screwed up. And Alexander gets tagged in. He hits a springboard clothesline to Dar, handspring into an enziguri, and then Dar goes to the floor. Gallagher sends him back in for the lumbar check, and Dar is pinned in 12 minutes and 40 seconds, and he's left staring at Neville, who abandoned him in the match.
Yes, good match. I was impressed by the reaction with the audience here. I mean, we're talking Cruiserweight main event 3 hours in. And the crowd actually reacted pretty well to these guys. I really liked watching Gallagher and Neville work together. A lot of fun technical chain wrestling. And Gallagher, I could see working in a lot more of his older style into this match. I feel like he kind of debuted with a lot of his older spots, but feels like in recent weeks he's been shedding a lot of that in order to kind of maybe, I don't know, it just felt like a more watered down of the Jack Gallagher we saw in the Cruiserweight Classic. But it feels like in this match he was slowly reintegrating a lot now that he's over with the audience. So maybe we'll get the ball returning someday. But overall, good main event.
I like the main event a lot. I thought, once again, I thought Neville was the highlight of this show. I like both of his interactions with Swan and then later Dar, and the tag match was really good.
Do you think Gallagher is getting the title shot next?
I feel like coming out of this, I think you could go with TV matches with all three of these guys. I think they're still going to go to Cedric at some point. I feel Dar could have an issue with Neville, though I don't know if you really want to push that because I feel they do want Dar as a heel. But Gallagher as well. So you have the Swan program eventually. Like you do for the first time have some baby faces emerging for Neville.
Right. They just did Cedric, though, and I feel like Dar is still too much of a heel, and I feel like he will be for a time. So I see Gallagher really kind of being in that spot right now, which I'm sure they've always intended on, putting him in. But with Swan getting injured, that just might be pushed up a little earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there you have it. We will now go to the Law message board for your feedback. And first up is Mark from Vaughn. If the Cena and Nikki versus Miz and Maurice rumors are true, I'm shocked at how low they're willing to drop Cena down the Mania card, regardless of how strong Miz was in 2016. I'd actually prefer Cena Styles 4 over that. His question is, I know it's 9 weeks away, but are there any ongoing or potential SmackDown programs that seem hot or would have you excited heading into WrestleMania? I don't think they're necessarily... You're getting as clear a vision on SmackDown for WrestleMania as you are Raw, other than the programs people anticipate with Orton and Bray, and then whatever happens if you do go the AJ Shane direction. I mean, outside of that...
Ambrose would probably be in the IC title ladder match.
If there's the ladder match. Yeah, I mean, with Dean... With Dean, you're more teasing stuff with Baron Corbin now than you are even The Miz. Like, I don't know if they're going to go back to Ambrose and Miz.
Are they teasing Corbin and...
Yeah, they did last week. Then this week they followed up with Ambrose taking him out with that dive. They had the interactions at the Rumble.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
And they're both in the chamber. So
then you have Cena doing whatever. God knows.
Yes, he will be the one that everyone is focused on coming out of Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm.
But just remember, even if you don't think it now, you do want to see Cena and Orton.
We go to Chupacabra from Delaware. Quick Rumble note. Did you guys notice that Baron Corbin was number 13? He always has the number 13 on his gear and incorporated that into his tattoos, so there's a little Easter egg for you. I assume giving him that number was intentional. SmackDown, Styles Ambrose match was pretty good, but the 7-person commentary panel was overkill. 205 Live, another win for Tony Knees. Aries and Graves called the move the running knees. They must have heard my review of Raw feedback on the Law. Badass heel Neville is awesome. So glad he's leading that division. Did you guys know that Jack Gallagher defeated Pete Dunne in order to qualify for the CWC? Do you guys think Dunne would have been a good fit for 205 Live? I do.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Definitely.
Because he seems to be able to promo, and I feel like that's more valuable than, I mean, he can wrestle too, so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's indicative of where they're going to slot some of the UK talent, but Tyler Bate is going to be on tonight's NXT show against Oney Lorcan, and I don't know if that's a one-off, if that's a sign that NXT might be where they go, if they spread them out.
Tyler Bate's the champion, so he'll have to be on that UK show.
Yeah, but I mean, that show doesn't exist at the moment,
right.
So we will see where a Pete Dunne lands, but certainly he could be effective in the Cruiserweight division. We go to Lay. I like the tag match between the women. I will never change the channel with those 4 women on my screen. I think one of the issues with the Cruiserweights is that heavier guys like Rollins, Owens, Cesaro, and Cruz can pull off the same moves as the Cruiserweights, so being able to work really well isn't a huge advantage when compared to the main roster, because most of the roster can put on great matches. Yeah, that's been frequently brought up. It's it's not the same kind of difference that you have from 97, for instance, between your heavyweights, so to speak, and cruiserweights.
It's not like they're working faster either, so you're really just kind of seeing the same matches, but with smaller, less over guys.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, we go to Sun from Changsha, China. Hello, I like the women in the SmackDown show. They're really beautiful and are very talented artists. I'm not very excited for Randy Orton and Cena because I've seen it many times over. I do not like Baron Corbin. His hairline is worse than LeBron James.
Whoa.
He is only there because of his height, which SmackDown lacks. Every time Lindsay Dorado is on TV for a match, I know he is going to lose, but he is amazing and speaks English well for a Hispanic. Is he Hispanic?
Who's that?
Lindsay Dorado?
Yes.
He is. Okay.
I believe, though, he was born in the U.S., though, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken.
You guys are right about cruiserweights using rest holds. They should be left to their own devices. Watching them wrestle the WWE style isn't refreshing. The cruiserweight style is what I'm expecting out of these guys.
Born in Puerto Rico, raised in New Jersey. There
Cool.
we have it. Lindsay Dorado. Next one here. Let us go to Ryan from Destin, Florida. With WrestleMania season here, I'm trying to watch both Raw and SmackDown. The 2 hours seemed to breeze by and was over before I knew it. I have 2 questions. Is there anything realistic that can be done to bring interest in American Alpha back to peak NXT levels? And did you think that Cena and AJ from the Royal Rumble was as good as their match from SummerSlam? First question. Yeah, I think American Alpha can definitely thrive on SmackDown, but the current, they just don't seem to have any clear direction for them and kind of missing out on what did really elevate them on SmackDown. They went out, on NXT, they went out, they had really great matches and kind of organically got over with the crowd. Like, they did not start off as a hot act. They were 2 comedy figures. Jordan coming out of a failed team. Gable didn't really have much going. They put them together and it started as like comedy, and then they suddenly got much more serious because people got into their matches and they were having great matches on TV.
Right, and these guys aren't being given the chance to have great matches. But do you also feel like in NXT, you can get over just mainly with having great matches? Do you feel that will work the same on the main roster? Because I feel like you need more than just to have great matches on the main roster.
You do, but it's, when you talk about, well, they need characters, it's, if this is their answer to characters, I think it's more a detriment. Like, you want to have personalities come across, but to me, when they won the tag titles and they're being interviewed on NXT backstage and Jason Jordan's in tears.
Talking smack.
No, I'm saying when they won the
NXT
NXT tag titles. Sorry. When they won the tag titles in NXT and then they're interviewed, Jordan is like in tears here about how long this road was for him and they're finally having success. Like, that to me is character development. It's like you root for this team. You are interested in their success or failure.
Right.
And just these attempts at jokes, I don't know if that necessarily connects you that much, especially if you don't have that ability to be all that funny, which, I mean, these interviews have not really helped or swinging titles around. And I like the Rumble match better than SummerSlam myself. So
I don't even remember.
No. We'll take my word for it then.
Paul from New Jersey. Bray Wyatt's promo sounded much less incoherent and more on point lately. I do, however, find it ironic that the phrase vicious cycle is being used followed by Randy Orton versus Cena for gold at WrestleMania. Of course, it's likely Bray wins the title, which will be a nice moment at the Chamber. If this is the case, could you see Cena versus a Raw guy at WrestleMania?
Let's put it this way. What Raw guy would you want to see Cena face?
That's free.
That's free.
Available?
Yeah, free and would be of interest to you. Like, the options are Braun Strowman.
Yeah, that's a worthy main event.
Everyone dumped on me last year when I was really against that Undertaker Shane match and said I would have preferred Undertaker Braun Strowman. Doesn't sound so crazy a year later, does it?
Because they've done a great job with Strowman.
Yeah, which they had not up until that point last year. But nonetheless, we're getting off track.
I don't hate Cena Strowman as a cross-promotional feud. It's a very strong win for Strowman.
Or Cena. I don't see that one happening, though. I don't see us...
I like it more than some of the other alternatives.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I would also, when you're doing an interpromotional match, because they've done the Survivor Series, but... To me, it's like there should be a reason for it other than, well, these 2 guys aren't doing anything, so they'll face each other. It's like there should be something. There should be a reason.
The reason could be as simple as, hey, this guy's making a lot of big waves. I want to test myself against this guy while I'm still in my prime.
Let us go to Arvind from Sherwood Park, Alberta. The oversaturation of the product has reached a critical point, and it's starting to affect the coherence of their storytelling in too many ways. SmackDown was a victim of that to a certain degree, with all 3 singles champions being pinned and the tag champions appearing in a meaningless segment. I don't know if the WWE will ever go back to their booking style of the 90s, where the champion Bret Hart didn't need to appear on every weekly show, and when he did, it was for something to push the story along. As for positives, I know that everyone is through the moon for AJ and Cena, but for my money, the Ambrose-Styles feud has had the superior matches.
I just don't know if that style of booking that they used in the 90s with Bret is going to work in today's format. Today's landscape.
That thinking of your Hogan's not appearing on TV frequently or even a Bret, it was because your main outlet at that point was pay-per-view and house shows. That's where you got to see the stars face each other. That's not the case today. Television is so much more important than it was in the 90s, where that was just something that was designed to push people to where you made your money. Now TV is where you make money, and a lot of it, and you're going to have your stars on every week.
And the pinning of the champions is, I guess you could complain that they maybe do that too much. But in a tag scenario, I really don't have an issue with it. Maybe I'm just conditioned to this, their ways of booking, but I just see it as kind of getting you justification to see a title match at the pay-per-view.
All right.
We go to Saj. AJ. We go to AJ who says,
Saj.
Hey, John and Wai, your podcast keep me entertained while stuck in traffic. Do you think the AJ Cena program will go on to WrestleMania, although it won't have the title, or is the Shane match locked? If so, who do you see Cena with at Mania? On another note, I think after Fastlane, Joe and Strowman will spin off to do a program with each other, since none of them have a program and no one else is free to have a match with them. Has anybody caught the Dean Ambrose founding member of the Shield graphic? Does that mean all of them are, and that it would only be a matter of if the group reunites and recruits more members than that? Okay.
I have no idea what he's talking about, but if it's a Shield reunion, no, I don't see that being a permanent thing.
I think he means whatever. Okay.
I don't understand.
Joe Strowman?
Not dying.
I mean, Joe's a heel. I guess Strowman's kind of a babyface.
Yeah, he's more babyface now than heel.
Yeah, but I feel like Joe should be pushed as a monster. And
I just feel those two, it's like you're almost on similar paths where those two at an intersection point doesn't really make sense, especially for Joe's first major thing. You ask about matches being locked, everything is open to changes. If Seth Rollins, which knock on wood is not the case, if he has a serious injury, that throws tons of stuff out the window where you have to readjust. So nothing is locked until it happens. Yeah. So there's always wiggle room. There's always the chance to adjust stuff. And that goes for everyone. That goes for Shane and AJ, but
I didn't feel much of a tease with Shane and AJ this week.
No, there was nothing in that segment of them having any kind of issue.
So there's hope.
Let's go here to, 'cause I got to wrap this up. Let's go to Sean for our last one here. From Newcastle. Pretty good edition of SmackDown and Talking Smack. I really think they did a good job with putting everything in place for the Chamber pay-per-view. I was very annoyed when they kept playing the song, Let Me Blow Your Mind. What a shitty song.
Don't blow your mind.
Anyway, do you think John Cena will drop the title at Chamber? And why do you think that they are now aiming for Reigns versus Taker instead of what I thought was the original plan with Taker and Cena? They
have plans for Roman.
That's the direction they're going. I mean, that was the reason Roman was in the Royal Rumble. That was the reason he eliminated The Undertaker.
Cena, everything's subject to change. I wonder what their intent was with Cena to get this match. If he is going to drop the title in 2 weeks, is it so that they can speed up the ability to promote that record-breaking title win at some point?
I think you lose something, though, in the fact that you just got this build for the record tying. And I think
that wasn't much of a build, though. They didn't really mention it at all.
It wasn't the lead up, though. They cooled off towards the end, but to me, it's especially after a 2-week reign. Yeah. I don't know how amped you get up for a record breaking thing. I don't know how much people are attached to it as the company thinks that this is a big thing. If you were a fan of in the 80s and following Flair, it's It's not even the legitimate number. It would be like...
Yeah, but how many people know that?
Well, what I'm saying is like 15 years from now, if we had the new hot babyface or heel, and suddenly, well, he's going to try and surpass John Cena's record of 14 title reigns, for instance.
I think that's a big deal.
But that's not the number, is that's my point here. It's like we're just...
Okay, well, but it's still, to me, if they could promote it like it's a big deal, then I think the audience will treat it like it's a big deal. You know? Whether or not it's a legit number or not.
We'll see. But I don't see that being him chasing that record for WrestleMania. I think they'll save that for somewhere else. Yeah, SummerSlam or something beyond. All right, that's going to conclude today's show. But we have lots of shows up that you can check out if you have not already. Full rundown of the Rumble and NXT TakeOver from Sunday's edition of The Law. That is up. Review of Raw from Monday. New British Audio Wrestling is also up. And then later this week, we've got What's Next, the MMA Report, and Friday, Nate Milton and Brian Mann are back. They are going to be reviewing the Monday, January 24th, 2000 episode of Monday Nitro on Keep It 2000, and we'll be joined by MLW Radio's Alex Greenfield to review that Nitro from 17 years ago.
Wow.
So,
I'm sorry, Alex.
Well, he volunteered for this. So,
over at youtube.com/live audio wrestling, you can catch video reviews of Review Raw, Jimmy and John's review of the Royal Rumble. As well, tomorrow, Thursday, we will put up our annual Christmas gift exchange that took place this past Sunday. Much delayed Christmas exchange, but you could see.
So it's Christmas Eve right now.
Pretty much, yeah. So you can see what we got each other over at the Law. A lot of wrestling gifts, a lot of wrestling t-shirts. So do check that out. And on Friday, we'll have this month's Pro Wrestling Crate unboxing.
I can't wait.
More wrestling shirts.
Oh my God. So we have Christmas and then Unboxing Day. It's so exciting,
yeah,
right?
Brilliant promotion. Yes.
All right. That's going to take us out. And
by the way, one last thing. We have to thank Chris Engler.
Yeah, we forgot. It was my mistake. Chris Engler, who is the MVP of the Royal Rumble pool every year. He does an awesome job every year of tabulating all the results, sending us these great stats. A big thank you to Chris for once again this year helping us handle the Rumble pool, because if it wasn't for him, there would be no pool. I guarantee you. There is no way I could have gone through 1,500 submissions.
The pool would be empty.
Yes, he is a whiz with Excel, which I was definitely not. So a big thank you to Chris, and we'll chat with you later on this week.
'Cause we gon' blow your mind.